Looks like it's 4.6. Looks like it's 6.4 liter week this week. Gosh, just complaining about all this oil. And that's after I cleaned it. But they're not complaining about the engine, which does not sound healthy at all. So that sounds suspiciously like, it sounds like a power steering pump cavitating. You know, it got air in it, but this thing's pushing a lot of oil out of the exhaust pipe. Oh, excuse me. This thing's pushing a lot of smoke out the tailpipe. This truck has filters on it, so it shouldn't be smoking at all. So with this noise, the amount of oil up there, the noise from this engine, the smoke out the tailpipe, I suspect that the turbo is damaged. So we're going to inspect the turbos. You know someone's having a good day when you walk into their bay and see that. That means it was unbolted from that in order to achieve that. Oh, the things we do. So let's see what a $2,500 cardboard box consists of. So that's the part number. And as you can see, it says this side up. And when I got it, it was not this side up. It was laying on its side. Which shows, because the turbos are just kind of laying in here all willy-nilly crooked. So we got two turbos, high and a low. The box to stay open. Kind of hard to see with the plastic still on them. So we got our high pressure and our low pressure. They're already put together and held together with that little plastic doodad. Comes with an installation kit, so it comes with a new oil supply, low pressure drain tube, all the gaskets, all the bolts for the up pipes, new seals, which we're going to have to use because the new turbo doesn't come with this seal, and then the exhaust gaskets. And these seals go on the crossover tube. Sometimes you can get away with reusing those. Most of the time you can't, and they'll leak. And those are shot. I mean, we got to replace those. So not a whole lot of fun changing those out, but we'll take a look at what's involved with doing it. And then this is the old turbos here. You can see all the oil that was being pushed out from this one being bad. So this one's just, she's got the good out of her. It's trash. And those seals I was talking about go on here. So there's one seal there, one there, and then one in here. that the new turbo doesn't have on it. So we got to press those seals on, and press those seals on the crossover tube. We'll reuse this, and we'll reuse this, which is kind of aggravating because we gotta pop this rod off of here. It's kind of tough to get off there. Forgot that this doesn't have the ball in it at all, so all I gotta do is unbolt it. I don't have to worry about taking the socket off there. I don't think there's a black spline on here, so I'm gonna mark it so it goes in the same spot. So this just bolts in. These 3 bolts. I'm gonna unbolt this guy. I'm taking a paint pen and marked this shaft to this little notch. It's the same with the new turbo. I'll just line that back up and go back in. Oh wait, this is has the correct amount of throw. Got these turbos sitting down on this engine, and there's always some little differences. In theory I should be able to just bolt these pipes up to the turbo, but they don't line up. None of the bolt holes line up. So I've got to loosen every pipe. So I've got to loosen this pipe down here, that pipe down there, and that pipe to the EGR coolers. And somebody's left a bolt out, so to make it a little easier. That way I can get these to move a little bit, because you don't want these in a real bind, or they'll just, this pipe fails all by itself when everything's perfect. So you don't want this all kinked up and have that fail on you. I've got another video around here somewhere of tightening these pipes up. I don't really go into any detail of what's going on. All these pipes, it's critical that they're tightened correctly. There's a lot of flex in these things when they get some heat going through them. So you want them kind of centered up and tightened in like a center location, because if you got them bound up one way to the extreme and it heats up and continues to go that way as it heats up, it'll crack like glass. Basically what I'm doing, I had to remove all these pipes. I should have just done it when I took the turbo off, before I took the turbo off. But the wrong hardware was used down at the manifold, and I had to loosen them all up because they wouldn't made up to the turbo. And by then it was just, all that stuff was trash, so I just took it all off. Put all new hardware on it. And basically the next step, I've got it all mocked up. Alright, and everything's in there and kind of loose. But this bracket is bolted up with the bolts to bolt this left hand up pipe on. And then they hold the E-Dock from moving around. Now I could bolt all that up first and then put this on, but this may not lay flat on the bracket. It may be, cockeyed or whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tighten up the right hand up pipe. Get it torqued. I'm going to tighten up the right hand up pipe down here and get it torqued. Everything gets torqued 23 foot-pounds. This isn't going to move. It's in there pretty good. Then I'm going to get these a little closer, get this gap closed up. Get these a little closer to get this flat here. And then I'll tighten the left hand up pipe, including that bracket. Alright. And I'll tighten up, let me come around there. So I'll tighten up this left hand up pipe, which will tighten that bracket up, which will get this bracket set in the correct position. Then I'll tighten the left hand up pipe to the manifold. Then I'll tighten the EGR supply pipe to the horizontal cooler. And I got to take all this back loose. This has to come loose to get to that bolt right there. It's kind of hidden below this. So that's why I'll get everything mocked up. Take this loose and flop it up so I can get the left hand up pipe tight. Lay this back into place. Torque this, torque these, torque this, and then torque that. And then done. Now we're at the point where we're ready to replace these two seals. Normally I just let them ride, but these are so worn out, they're puking all out of them. And that's the big one, and that's the small one. This is the tool to take them out with. It threads in, and then use a slide hammer. And that's the tool to put it back in with. It bottoms out. But there's enough of a lip on here where we can just use a scraper to knock them out. A whole lot easier than threading that slide on attachment in. We'll just shine this up, get all the wool out of here. Pop our new ones in. It takes a good bit of force to seat these. That'll just bottom out like that. Sit in there. And drive it home. I've just got an old drag link cut down and put a bead of weld on it to give me a stop. Ford wants you to unbolt this from this and leave that attached whenever you want to take the valve cover off or something like that. But the bolts coming from the bottom, they're next to impossible to get to. So most people do not do that. I've tried it. It just doesn't work. So the last couple things I got to do before I can put this cab back on, I'll finish bolting this up, and I'll get the fuel cooler on there, get this plywood off here, and put the downpipe on. I'll be done back here. But I gotta fix this dipstick tube. Somebody's put it in the wrong position. This truck's been worked on before, and it laces through there. They've got it way back here, and this actually bolts way up front there. And you know where it's at now, I mean, it works. It's been like that for a while, but it's really difficult to check the oil level because this is so close to all this stuff here, where if it's routed correctly, you know, this is way up here and you can get to it better. So I'm going to reroute that, button all this up, and then last thing, I'm going to replace this O-ring in here for the degas bottle, and I'm going to update the top and bottom radiator hoses, because this has the original 1 O-ring hoses, and they've got new hoses that have 2 O-rings in them. They seal much better. And while we're in here, I'm going to put thermostats on. So I've got top and bottom radiator hose. You can tell that they're white. So if you see, you know, natural color, white, or whatever you want to call it, there's 2 O-rings in there instead of 1, and it seals much better. So like that one only has 1 in it. It's black. And then I've got a pair of thermostats. Freshen those up while we're in there. The radiator cap, that was worn out, and we've actually got a bad temp sensor in the exhaust, so I'm going to put that in there too. And then when I get it back together, I got to do a manual regen because the exhaust is completely full of oil. You see the oil running out of that downpipe, and it soaked full in oil from the exhaust system where the turbo was pushing oil. I got this cream puff back together. About 98 degrees in the shop today, so I got the fans running a little bit lewd. So I really have the fuel system apart for the most part. The fuel cooler off of it. Get the turbos out. It should start right up for us. We're ready to start it. We'll get it started, let it run for a little bit, make sure it's not shooting oil out anywhere. Coolant, things like that. And then I'm going to shine up the hood for them because they're spending quite a bit of money on this repair. Try to make it look like they're getting something. Little things like that. That's where to get their money from. That's where this money gets spent. That's where they see their money being spent. You know what I'm trying to say. Power steering fluid, so we'll take care of that. Check our transmission fluid, let it come up to temperature, and then we'll do a manual regen. And you guys get a kick out of that because it's going to smoke out the neighborhood. So I kind of wish I had put a drain pan under this truck last night. That's the amount of oil that ran out of this resonator overnight. That's about as much oil as my Honda holds. So I'm gonna let this thing run. I'm gonna have to hold off on the regen because I don't want to catch the truck on fire. So I'm gonna have to just let it sit outside and idle. I have to let it idle until that oil burns out. That's not even a manual regen. That's just fast idle. I gotta blow that out before I do a regen.